Let's start with amendment in chapter 9, that is registration. Okay, first one, this bank account details one. See the notification, that is notification dated 28th June 19. It's an old amendment. See, first one is bank account details may be furnished after obtaining registration certificate. Okay, it is need to be supposed to be furnished within 45 days from the date of grant of registration or the due date of furnishing of return, whichever is earlier. Okay, just read once. While applying for registration on GST portal, a person is required to furnish the details of his bank account. This requirement is now has been relaxed to a limited extent by inserting a new rule 10A to the CGST rules. In pursuance to the same, the registered person is allowed to furnish information with respect to details of bank account or any other information as may be required on the common portal in order to comply with any other provisions soon after obtaining certificate of registration under GST, but not later than 45 days from the date of grant of registration or the date on which return required under section 39 is due to be furnished, whichever is earlier. So this is a relaxation. So they have given the time, government has given the time limit to furnish the bank account details. Okay, it's not necessary to apply, means to furnish while applying for registration. This deadline is given to you, you have to furnish within this deadline the bank account details. This relaxation is not available for those who have been granted registration as TDS deductor or TCS collector under rule 12 or who have obtained suo motu registration under rule 16. Okay, so this is not available, this relaxation is not available to deductor, TDS deductor, TCS collector and this suo motu registration person, this voluntary registration case. In other words, a registered person has an option to give his bank account details after obtaining registration within 45 days from the date of grant of registration or due date of furnishing of return, whichever is earlier. However, if a person violates the provisions of Rule 10A, his GST registration is liable to be cancelled. Okay, means if the bank account details are not furnished within this deadline, then his registration will be cancelled. GST registration will be cancelled. This is given in Rule 21. Now second one is manner of furnishing of details of state or UT in application for registration by a TDS deductor in a state or UT where he doesn't have a physical presence. Okay, details are to be furnished in part A and part B. In part A, he'll furnish the name of that said state or UT, and in part B he'll furnish the state in which principal place of business is located. Read this one. Hitherto, there was a specific provision for furnishing details of state or UT in the application for registration by a TCS collector in a state where he doesn't have a physical presence prescribed under Rule 12(1)(a). Rule 12(1)(a) has been amended to extend to said provisions to a TDS deductor also. Okay. Okay, earlier the specific provision was for TCS collector, now this has been provided to TDS deductor also. So resultantly, when a person is applying for registration to deduct TDS in a state or UT, union territory, where he doesn't have a physical presence, he shall mention the name of said state or union territory in part A of prescribed application form for registration. Further, the name of state or union territory in which his principal place of business is located is to be mentioned in part B of the application form. Okay. State or union territories mentioned in part A and part B of the application form may be different. Okay. This was notification dated 18th July 19, again old amendment. Next one, meaning of not making taxable supply during suspension of registration clarified. A registered person required to issue revised tax invoice and file first return for supplies during suspension period, Rule 21A of CGST rules. Notification dated 9th October 19. There was one clarification. That's why they have given the statutory update. So what is the clarification? As you all know that when registered person applies for cancellation of registration, or when the proper officer cancels his registration, then in that period, then the registration remains suspended, and during the suspension period, means when this his registration is suspended, at that period registered person shall not make any taxable supply. Now this shall not make any taxable supply, this term has only been clarified in this clarification. Clarification is that they cannot make taxable supply, means they cannot issue tax invoice, and accordingly they cannot charge tax on supplies. Okay, and after this revocation of suspension of registration, they can issue revised tax invoice and they can file first return. See this, Rule 21A provides that once a registered person has applied for cancellation of registration or the proper officer seeks to cancel his registration shall remain suspended during pendency of the proceedings relating to cancellation of registration filed. His registration shall remain suspended during pendency of the proceedings relating to cancellation of registration filed. Such person shall not make any taxable supply during the period of suspension and shall not be required to file any return. No taxable supply, no return during this period of suspension. Okay. An explanation has been inserted to the sub-rule 3 of Rule 21A, clarifying that the expression shall not make any taxable supply shall mean that the registered person shall not issue a tax invoice and accordingly not charge tax on supplies made by him during the period of suspension. They can make supply, but they cannot issue a tax invoice. They cannot charge tax on the supplies. Okay. Further, a new sub-rule 5 has been inserted in said rule to provide that where any order having the effect of revocation of suspension of registration has been passed, if such order has been passed, means if suspension of registration is revoked, then the provision of section 31 subsection 3 clause A, revised tax invoices, and section 40, that is first return, in respect of supplies made during the period of suspension and the procedures specified therein shall apply. Okay. If the suspension is revoked, then revised tax invoice and first return provisions will apply for the supplies made during the period of suspension. Hope it's clear. Now fourth one is Aadhaar authentication mandatory for new registrants for grant of registration. Now this is the new amendment. Just see the notification date. Notification dated 23rd March 2020. Now this what amendment they have made. The amendment is that the new registrants is compulsory required to take this Aadhaar authentication for grant of registration, and existing registrants also required to undergo this Aadhaar authentication, because without undergoing this one, means if their Aadhaar is not authenticated, then their registration shall be deemed to be invalid. So new registrants as well as the existing registrants shall undergo this Aadhaar authentication. Now read this. There is a simplified registration procedure under GST. However, in an endeavour to curb or check fly-by-night operators and to increase compliance, Aadhaar eKYC based registration has been introduced under the GST law. With effect from 1st April 2020, Aadhaar authentication has been made mandatory for the new applicants, whether an individual applicant or an applicant other than individual, in order to be eligible for grant of registration. Subsequently, existing registrants will also be required to undergo Aadhaar authentication, otherwise their registration shall be deemed to be invalid. Clear? Subsection 6A, 6B, 6C and 6D were inserted in section 25 of CGST Act 2017 by the Finance Act 2019 to make Aadhaar authentication mandatory for specified class of new taxpayers and to prescribe the manner in which certain class of registered taxpayers are required to undergo Aadhaar authentication. Section 25(6)(a) requires every registered person to undergo authentication or furnish proof of possession of Aadhaar number in prescribed form and manner and within prescribed time. Okay. Now section 25 to section 6b and 6c requires every individual and Karta, managing director, whole-time director, partner firm, etc., respectively, to undergo authentication or furnish proof of possession of Aadhaar number in prescribed manner. Such authentication is mandatory to be eligible for grant of registration. It shall be from a date to be notified. Section 25 of section 6d provides that the provisions of section 25 6a, 6b, 6c shall not apply to notified person or class of persons or any notified state or UT or part thereof. Okay. In pursuance to subsection 6b, 6c, 6d of section 25, following amendments have been made. Rule 8 of CGST Rules 2017 provides the procedure for application of registration. A new sub-rule 4A has been inserted after sub-rule 4 to Rule 8. It provides that with effect from 1st April 20, the applicant shall, while submitting an application under Rule 4, undergo authentication of Aadhaar number for grant of registration. Okay, they have just revised the procedure. In exercise of power conferred by section 25 6b and 6c, an individual authorized signatory of all types, means managing an authorized partner of a partnership firm, Karta of HUF, shall undergo authentication of Aadhaar number as specified in this rule in order to be eligible for registration with effect from 1st April 20. However, if Aadhaar number is not assigned to the said person, they shall be offered alternate and viable means of identification in the manner specified in Rule 9 of the said rules. Okay, alternate means will be specified. Proviso inserted to Rule 9(1) provides that where a person other than those notified under Section 2560 fails to undergo authentication, where a person other than those notified under section 2560 fails to undergo authentication of Aadhaar number specified in rule 84A above, then the registration shall be granted only after physical verification of the principal place of business in the presence of said person, not later than 60 days from the date of application. Okay, exclude the persons who are notified, means for them exclude the persons who are not required to undergo this authentication, means for those persons they are talking about the persons who, for those who this Aadhaar authentication is mandatory. If those persons fails to undergo this authentication, then registration will be granted only after physical verification of the principal place of business in the presence of said person, and this physical verification will be done only maximum within 16 days from the date of application. A site survey, means physical verification will be done and identification documents will be verified. In such cases, deemed approval of registration application will not be applicable. Okay, there is no concept of deemed approval of registration, that is after expiry after expiry of 60 days the registration will be granted automatically. This deeming provision, this deemed approval provision is not applicable in this case. Rule 25 providing for physical verification of business premises has also been suitably amended to provide that where the proper officer is satisfied that the physical verification of the place of business of a person is required due to failure of Aadhaar authentication before grant of registration or due to any other reason after the grant of registration, he may get such verification of the place of business in the presence of the said person done. The verification report along with other documents including photographs shall be uploaded in the prescribed form on the common portal within a period of 15 working days from the date of such verification. Okay, Rule 25 providing for physical verification of business premises has also been suitably amended to provide that, it's an important one so I am reading again. Providing for physical verification of business premises has also been suitably amended to provide that means physical verification can be conducted by proper officer before grant of registration, also means when there is failure of Aadhaar authentication, and it can be done after grant of registration also for any other reason, and the verification report along with the other documents including photographs that will be uploaded in the prescribed form the common portal within 15 working days from the date of such verification. Now, in exercise of the power conferred by section 2560 with effect from 1st April 2020, the provisions of section 25(6)(b) and 6c shall not apply to a person who is not a citizen of India or to a class of person other than the following class of persons, namely. Now, what they have said that the provisions shall not apply to a person who is not a citizen of India or to a class of person other than the following class of persons, means these ABCD. For in case of ABCD, this provisions is applicable. Aadhaar authentication is mandatory, but it is not mandatory for the person who is not a citizen and to a class of persons, a specified class of person that is not given here. So, other than the following class of person, namely individual, authorized signatory of all types, managing and authorized partners, and Karta of HUF, for all these four, Aadhaar authentication is mandatory. Okay, so this completes our revision. This completes our amendment in chapter 9, that is registration. Okay.